Blood at dawn. Silent screams. At 4:30 am, a frantic 911 call breaks through the darkness, but the truth is already slipping away. A young woman lies dying beside a car, riddled with bullets. The only witness can barely speak, and her story keeps changing. What began as a quiet night ends in fatal shots, shattered trust, and a mystery wrapped in fear. A hidden killer, no forced entry, no clear motive, just whispers of jealousy and betrayal. But when surveillance reveals the unthinkable, the silence is broken. This wasn't random. This was murder within.
911, what is the address of the emergency? Is that a house or an apartment? Ma'am?
Oh no.
Okay, what is the phone number you're calling from, ma'am?
Oh my God, she's just dying.
Hey, ma'am, I need you to calm down because I can't hear you like that. Okay, ma'am, what is your first and last name? Ma'am, can you hear me?
I was on the graveyard shift. It was about 4:30 a.m. when I got the call. I just began driving. As I got closer, I turned on my body camera, not really knowing what to expect.
I don't know what happened, but they started shooting.
Where were you guys at when this happened?
She was right here, and I was on the other side of the seat.
I could see a female laying on the ground. She was shot multiple times. She didn't seem to be breathing from what I could see. It wasn't good. EMS workers immediately started CPR.
Did you see where it came from?
I don't. The door just opened, and it was just pop, 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 pop.
What door opened?
Her door opened.
Her door opened?
Yes. Her car side opened.
The female sitting next to her identified herself as Natasha Grimes Kelly, the woman who called 911. Latasha had mentioned that the injured woman was her friend Kiera.
Okay, just relax for me.
Go ahead and back up. We got more people trying to hit on the side. Yes.
Just back up. You say you were hit?
Yes, please.
Just, can you?
I had to go in and try to find my phone because I couldn't.
311, we're going to need another ambulance.
Latasha said that, hey, I'm hit too. She points in the direction of her abdomen.
Gunshot, abdomen, right side of the paper.
This is going to look like a good shooting, so start some more.
Turn around here.
So I have 2 patients.
Okay. Got a gunshot wound right here. Okay. Give me a tape right there. Have a seat.
As I was trying to gather her story, I just called for more medics to come take a look at her.
So you guys were right here, just sitting in the car.
Just sitting in the car, about to smoke a cigarette.
About to smoke a cigarette. Okay. Out of nowhere, you just heard shots.
I just hear I was asleep. I heard tussling.
Well, hold on. Slow down for me. Slow down for me.
Because I was asleep.
Okay, so were you asleep in the car?
I was asleep in the house.
You were asleep in the house?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I woke up.
You woke up.
And all I heard tussling, but there was nobody in the house.
Okay.
So I came outside.
Okay.
And I seen her car out here.
Okay.
Her story was kind of all over the place because she was hysterical.
So I go to get in the car and I sit down and I say, hey, what's going on?
Huh?
And I'm asking her what's going on.
Okay.
And she's about to start talking to me. And somebody opened this door and just started shooting.
Somebody opened her door?
Opened her door.
She told me a random person ran up to their vehicle, opened the driver door, and began shooting. Latasha wasn't really able to give me a great description or even a description on who had done this. They had did it and just fled. Medical personnel transported them to the hospital, and then the doctors made the call that the woman laying on the ground did die. This is now a homicide. At the hospital, we were able to confirm her identity as 28-year-old Kiera Livingston.
My sister Kiera was the oldest. I'm the youngest, and we have my middle sister. It was 3 of us, regular middle class family. Kiera was like the big sister, but the mom. She's making sure hair's done.
Hey, swing natty, swing natty.
It was always us together.
We met in high school. She really lit up the room. She just attracted everybody to her aura, We were high school sweethearts, and yeah, we kind of went from there. After high school, we had our first kid together, but like eventually we broke up.
She had 2 daughters. She loved our family. I actually, that day I was calling her because she was supposed to braid my hair. She's not answering my calls, but I'm still trying to, get the day going. I'm thinking what was going on. I didn't know anything that had happened.
My sister called me and she told me that something happened to Kiera. I called Kiera's mom and I could just hear it in her voice. When stuff like that happens, that it questions your faith. A lot of question was what happened. A lot of anger and a lot of, just frustration. Like how, why? Like why would you take her from my daughter?
So I just want to do a quick sweep, see if we have a crime scene back there.
Well, we got casings right here too.
Okay.
Right here under the wheels.
When we first arrived, we were out on another homicide that occurred 2 nights prior. And so lack of sleep played a huge role. Everybody was kind of wearing out, wearing down. And so my phone rang that morning at about 5:20 a.m. And you say goodbye to the family at the house because you don't really know when you're going to be home.
I remember getting on scene, silver sedan, sitting there with a driver's side door open, the car was still running.
Multiple shell casings were in front of the car. The impact points to the outer door frame of the car, and then as you looked in the car, a gun magazine was laying kind of on the door jamb of the driver's side of the vehicle. And that was interesting because we don't normally see magazines outside of guns left at crime scenes. And so we look for fingerprints, we swab for DNA evidence.
Yeah, well, she said she was upstairs asleep. She came down because she heard like a commotion. Who? Her.
I remember just talking to other officers, and Latasha's stories kind of all over the place.
Came down because she heard a commotion, came out to smoke a cigarette, was getting ready to smoke a cigarette, and then somebody came and opened her door and fired. Her story is still a little confusing to me.
Latasha did give some different statements to the responding officers, which sometimes it can happen because people have been at a traumatic event, people don't really remember.
So how did she get shot?
That's what I'm saying. It's not making a lot of sense.
She was a little scared, a little frightened on what had just happened. So it's like you're just trying to figure out what's going on. At that point, you want to secure your scene. We don't know if the shooter's still there.
I got an open door here, Arnston. Police department, anybody here?
There was a front door that was wide open to Latasha's house.
Latasha had given us consent to go in the residence.
Aurora police, anybody in here?
For that brief moment, your adrenaline's pumping and it's almost like you're not even breathing. You never know what's going to be inside. You never know what you're going to encounter.
Police department, if you're inside, announce yourself now. We're coming in.
We know from officers on scene that Latasha had come from the house to the car.
Aurora police, near side, make yourself known.
So the officers go back into the house to make sure they don't have a person hiding out that could harm anybody else.
You want to throw a block on that back one and I'll check this one. Police department, anybody in here? After
clearing the residence, no one was found to be inside, but what I did notice was that the back sliding door was open. That immediately started ringing bells. Like, did the shooter run out of it? Did somebody come back through the house after this happened? It just gets your mind, makes your mind wonder.
There was a piece of mail with the name Cleveland Grimes on it. The mail address gives us an indicator that he's obviously living there, he's getting mail there. We really didn't know anything past that, whether he had any involvement, whether he was a witness to this, whether he had been another victim or anything.
So since we didn't find anybody in the residence, we then turn our investigation to the canvassing the area, talking to neighbors, talking to witnesses.
The sun's coming up, people are starting to wake up and come and go from their residences.
They were at the scene. There was a burgundy car that took off. I heard that there was a guy with a black hat. That's them right there. They were here last night. I don't know if they had anything to do with it, but they were here.
A neighbor said that he saw a burgundy car fleeing the scene. Who's really out at 4:30 in the morning, driving around that fast? So there's probability that it was involved.
It's very important that we identify this car to try to figure out if this is linked to the commission of the crime or not. The officer rushes over to the car, obviously to try to see who's in the car while exercising some caution.
And now you're making contact with possible witnesses. Can you log Ocean? Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
Donisha.
Donisha? Okay.
She makes contact with the driver, who's a female, and does her own initial investigation.
See, I was just being nosy.
You're just being nosy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm dumb.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So you don't know anyone that lives here?
I don't. Nope.
Okay.
I don't.
All right, and you don't know anything of what took place here at all?
Just said something about 2 people. That's all I know.
She did have a good timeline for her whereabouts. So the officer quickly realizes that a person inside the car had nothing to do with the shooting. Still important for us to be able to close that loophole so we don't waste any more time going down rabbit holes that aren't going to help us with the investigation.
Stay outside of the line. I can talk to you, but I don't have any information.
I can't find my sister.
Okay.
At the scene, I observe a female arrive, and she keeps asking me, is it Kira? And at this point, Kira's car is still there. I can't tell her no. Sorry. And I tell her, yes, Kira's gone. And I remember she just completely collapsed.
She just held me because she knew I was hurt. And she knew that I'm the baby. Seeing her vehicle, I just lost my best friend. I lost my favorite person. That was the person that I was able to call for anything and everything. So I didn't take it too well.
She was struggling, and I had no reason to not give her a hug. That's kind of what you do as a human being.
That's my big sister. My blood. That's my blood.
You console other people when you see them in pain, and Ebony was obviously in pain.
That's my blood.
I appreciate her for doing that for me. I was really taken back. I blacked out. I couldn't even tell you much from there.
Go ahead and call my cousin.
I'll call her.
Yeah, go ahead. Call her and...
Ebony wasn't the only family member that showed up on scene that morning. Kira's mom also showed up.
Go in the house. Y'all go to the house. I would like to know who really is that. Some dude named Trey. That's the only name out there.
I remember Kendra making a statement about all she knows is that it involved a man named Trey. And so at this point in the investigation, that's the first time that name had come up. Everyone was a bit excited about what the name Trey might lead to. Have we just had a breakthrough in the case? And where do we go from here? Who is this person? And is that our suspect? Kendra, Kira's mom, has brought up Trey. We wanted to know about Trey. Who is he? Have you ever met him? Can you describe him? And so those are all the questions that we wanted answers to right away. Kendra knew Kira and Trey had a relationship, that it was casual, but she didn't have anything that we could use for identification purposes. And so I continue with the interviews to help us connect the name Trey. We had identified another very close friend of Kira's. Her name was agreed to come to the station and be interviewed.
First off, you classified yourself as best friends with Kira. Okay, how long have you known her? 8 years. How do you know Trey?
Through Kira. Was able to provide a lot more information about Trey and about the relationship that Trey and Kira had.
They talked off and on, but they didn't have no relationship, and she actually hadn't even been talking to him lately. He was super jealous.
What?
He was crazy. He was a weirdo. Kira went to a pub before with him, and she wants to get a drink, and the guy's like, oh, you're not gonna buy you a drink. She's like, no, I'm okay. Well, apparently Trey's watching all this and flips his weed. Super jealous. Real passive aggressive.
Did not speak kindly of Trey, and expressed an opinion that Trey was very controlling and very jealous of Kira.
I didn't think he would do this. I know it's crazy.
And so now we're starting to get an idea that this might have been involved with jealousy and aggression and anger. and that this might be Trey is our suspect.
Do you know Trey's real name?
Nobody knows his real name.
Everyone seemed to know who Trey is, that it is Trey, named Trey, but no one could provide Trey's actual name. We don't know who he is. And so that's extremely frustrating when you have this kind of information and you just haven't turned the corner to be able to figure out who this is and have a face to put with all of these pieces of information.
Kiera was a hairstylist. She wanted to open up her own little boutique, do hair, have nice clothing lines. She had a whole life ahead of her. Who would want to rip that away? The funeral was nice. We all were in our white and gold. Gold was her favorite. She always had her gold on. But it was a really nice turnout with so many people there. It was hard, just seeing how loved she was. That was really nice.
It was unreal. At the funeral, I just wanted to be strong for my daughter. I just wanted my daughter to know, she still has her other parent and that I wasn't gonna, just crumble and fold on her.
We really just wanted the answers. I was taken back because who would want to kill my sister? To murder my sister? Who would want to do that?
And so at this point in the investigation, we don't know who Trey is. Something else that we wanted to pay attention to was the other person there the night of the murder, Latasha.
And she's about to start talking to me, and somebody opened this door and just started shooting.
Somebody opened her door.
Opened her door.
We know that she knew the victim. What we did not know is what happened. Who was responsible for the shooting? The detectives made note that her account of the events don't really make any sense. Latasha received medical treatment at the hospital. It was determined that she was not shot.
She had some minor injuries, nothing that was life-threatening or severe.
And so that presents an interesting problem. In Latasha's account, she also was sitting in the passenger side of the car. We didn't know at that time what is going on and why. We needed to bring Latasha in for an interview at the police department to confront her with her inconsistent statements. And I remember her coming straight from the hospital and only being covered in a hospital blanket.
We're hoping to get your cooperation and getting as much information as we can to figure out what happened to your friend.
So I can't tell you. I just remember waking up and I wanted to smoke a cigarette.
Okay. What time did you come downstairs to smoke your cig?
4 something in the morning. I forget my lighter. But I see the car sitting there. And I'm like, hell is about to come over here now. What do people want? So I start walking up to the car, but I noticed that it's Kiera. So I say, hey girl, I know she smoked. What you doing? It's early. You got a light? I get in the car. And then I say, okay, I need the lighter. So I want to smoke my cigarette. But then she turned towards the door and that was it. I just remember hearing 2 shots.
Okay. Where this happened last night, Latasha? Whose place is that?
That's my brother's house. Yeah,
what's your brother's name?
Cleveland.
Okay. Cleveland, what's his last name?
Grimes.
Latasha confirmed that she and her brother, who she identified as Cleveland Grimes, were living at the residence, that he was staying there with her.
When they were doing the search warrant on the house, we saw that he's getting mail there.
Do you remember who was at the house last night? Who all?
I only seen 3 people.
Okay.
So Mike comes over with Bree. They sit down. Cleveland and them, they decide they're gonna go bowling. So I fell asleep.
You went out to smoke your cig, maybe 4:23-ish, and you went outside. Damn, I forgot my lighter. You said, Kiara's, you saw a car there.
The lights is on.
Why was she there in the first place?
Probably to sleep with my brother, maybe.
Sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
They meet up after the club. Everybody meets up after the club. You can look at my phone, and it'll tell you that not just her. Yesterday was a different girl.
Okay. Is your brother home?
No.
That you're aware of?
That I don't know.
Was anybody home that you're aware of?
Nobody was there.
Okay. She didn't say why she was there?
She didn't say nothing. I don't care. I just wanted the light.
Sure.
I 100% have no clue why that baby was outside that house tonight.
Latasha told detectives that she knew Cleveland to have multiple girlfriends, had a history of being in and out of relationships, and that was the same with Kira. At this point, we have to take into account, can this be a love triangle? Was Trey jealous of Kira seeing Cleveland? I don't recall that Latasha ever mentioned Trey or ever offered any information about him. So all of those kinds of things are still floating through our minds as we begin to put the pieces together. We don't know at this point, and so there's still a lot of work that we have to do. With where the investigation is so far, we know that Natasha and her brother Cleveland live at the residence on the street where this homicide occurred. We're looking for someone with the name Trey. The investigation is now painting a picture of some jealousy between Kira and Trey. And Cleveland, at this point, we need to get information about Trey because we want to locate him. We learned that the last person that was with Kira before she went to Latasha's house that night was her best friend, Lexi. And so that's an important interview to see what information she knew about Trey, to see where he was. I interviewed Lexi with my partner. I remember her being delightful.
Our understanding, you saw her shortly before this went down.
We went down to Purple Martini, the club downtown. I don't know if y'all familiar, but we were at the club, so we were just dancing and, having fun. Mm-hmm. And then after that, the club was over. We went home. I mean, I don't have my car, so she brought me home.
The night of the murder, Lexi mentioned she and Kira had gone to the club and that they returned back to Lexi's house about 2 a.m. that morning. Lexi had said that Kira had gone to the bathroom. Lexi went to the bathroom and knocked on the door just to check on her and make sure she was okay.
And I hear her on the phone. I'm like, oh, it must be one of her boos or whatever. So
how would you describe the tone of that conversation?
The tone was a little bit heated, but not to the point where it's like you're arguing. Not like that. But the tone was kind of, like back and forth. Yeah, like back and forth. Like you asking her something and she's telling you something like blah, 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 or whatever.
Lexi mentioned to us that she could hear Kira on the phone. She had assumed she was talking to Trey based on what Lexi was able to overhear.
I just passed out into sleep. I was already at home. So in the morning, that's when, Ebony started calling me and she's like, girl, where's my sister? And I'm like, I don't know. But I'm like, y'all calm down because she's probably just at Trey's house asleep and she can't hear the phone. And that was, my only thought was she's just asleep. And so they're like, well, you know where he lives? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, I know where he lives.
Lexi said that morning she woke up and heard that Kira had been shot in front of Trey's house. Now the light bulbs are going on because now we have the first piece of information linking Trey to the location where this happened. We know from Latasha that she has identified her brother Cleveland Grimes living where this homicide occurred, and now we have Lexi identifying that that's also Trey's residence. And so we're putting the pieces together. If we're talking about the same person, Trey is Cleveland Grimes. Throughout the entire investigation, Latasha was not truthful. She knew things that she did not provide to us and made the investigation much harder.
Not just her. Yesterday was a different girl. Okay.
We have come to a point in the investigation that we have probable cause to believe that Cleveland is the one that shot and killed Kira. We have people who are persons of interest in a case. We run their criminal history. We look up any other law enforcement contacts. What do they have a history of? Have they been known to possess weapons? And so all of that kind of research was done into Cleveland, and he really had a minimal criminal history. Attempts were made to try to contact him to see if he'd be willing to come in for an interview, and he was not willing to speak to any of us at the time. And so we're looking for additional pieces of evidence to build the case against Cleveland Grimes. One of the follow-up pieces of investigation that we often go back to is redoing the neighborhood canvas the night of the shooting. It's early in the morning and people don't want to answer the door. And so a lot of the doors that we knocked, we didn't get an answer to. And so we went back and contacted an individual who lived in the neighborhood and was familiar with the Grimes residence and familiar with Latasha and Cleveland. When we talked with her, she gave an account of what she remembered from that night when the shooting occurred.
Okay, Rakis, yeah, whenever you're ready, basically hoping to restructure the steps and ultimately leading you to look out that front windows.
Okay, so the shots, I heard the 4 shots, or what I thought was 4 shots. And then I was like, I sat here and was like, I think there was shots. And then I got up, my window's always open, and I looked over here, like about, to kind of get an idea. And I tried to open the door. And then I just kind of did like this, and then noticed my mom was moving. And then I opened his door, did just like this. I looked out the window, and like I said, I noticed what it looked like was my neighbor, and kind of looked a little bit more.
She remembered hearing the gunshots and identified a silver car parked in front of Latasha's house. And she saw a person standing in the driver's kind of door. She said that she recognized this person as her neighbor, Cleveland Grimes. And she was very adamant about what she saw and very adamant that she saw Cleveland.
Anything else you'd like to add or clarify?
No.
We start to get momentum here. And so that's a big deal at this point in the case. We're putting the pieces together, but don't have the full puzzle quite yet. We are also collecting video from all of the establishments in the area. One video in particular was very useful, and that was the hamburger stand across the street, right in front of the Grimes residence. So I know the camera's recording and I can see the street. And so I remember actually stopping the video and taking a breath and realizing I might have the crime on tape. Did I actually just capture this on tape, or is something gonna go wrong? I press play and I slow the video down, and it continues to play, and a car pulls up with the headlights on. And the car looks like the car that Kira drove that night. And you can also see someone else come out of the residence and get into the passenger seat of Kira's car. And we know from interviewing Latasha that that was her. And then you can see what looks like an interruption in the beams of the headlights, the approach of Cleveland as he approaches Kira's door. And we know that it's Cleveland because the neighbor saw Cleveland at Kira's door. And then you can see the muzzle flashes. And so the video actually depicts the muzzle flash in the exact time that the gun was fired. And so that was, again, a pivotal point in the investigation that we now know when Cleveland is firing shots in the car, Latasha is still in the passenger seat of the car. And after the shooting, we see Latasha get out of the car. We can see Cleveland leave and go back into the house, and we can see Latasha kind of moving around and a little bit unsure of what to do.
Latasha went back and forth between the car and the townhome numerous times after the shooting occurred. It took her a while to call 911.
It was about 20 minutes. And so if we look at her initial statements to police when police and medical personnel arrived, Latasha's on the ground, she's screaming, she's crying, she's asking for help.
I hit on the side. Yes.
Just back up. You say you were hit?
Yes, please.
This was not what we see on the hamburger stand video. Had Latasha called 911 right away? Could medical attention have been given to Kira sooner? Yes. Could have that made a difference in the outcome of this case? I don't know. And that's unfortunate. Our fugitive apprehension team went to his place of employment and arrested Cleveland. And he was taken into custody without incident and transported to headquarters to, again, attempt to get his side of the story.
Mr. Grimes? Call you Cleveland? Yeah, that okay, sir? Cleveland, I'm Detective Fredrickson. This is my partner, Detective Timber.
Cleveland, you have the right to remain silent, sir. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Having these rights in mind, you wish to talk to us now, sir.
I've been getting a lot of threats, and the jails talk faster than the streets do, so if y'all could just put me to myself to where I don't have to fight every day or whatever's going on, then we'll go from there.
Okay, well, it's a yes or no.
Question,
Cleveland. The question is, sir, having those rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us now about this incident, sir?
No.
No? Okay.
He essentially said, I want an attorney, and didn't want to talk, and so the interview ended rather quickly. To this day, we have never recovered the gun. It is still outstanding, and I don't know where it is. But we were notified that the fingerprints we collected from the car off the driver's door and off of the gun magazine that we located in the car, both of those items had fingerprints that match Cleveland Grimes. Throughout the entire investigation and through the witness statements, and we learned the motive for a reason why Cleveland would want to kill Kiera. Cleveland was a jealous boyfriend and was angry about some of the things that Kiera had done. And so he shot and killed Kiera. Cleveland Grimes was charged with murder 1 and was found guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Latasha was not planning the murder with Cleveland, but the video helps us to establish the obvious attempts to increase the likelihood that her brother could get away. Latasha was not truthful.
Based on all the facts and information we found within this case, Latasha Grimes was charged with being an accessory to the murder. He was convicted of it and sentenced to 2 years Department of Corrections with 36 months of parole.
With this case and the violent nature of how Kiera was killed, it felt good for us to be able to bring a conclusion. I think about this family frequently, and I know they must miss her. And so I hope they have peace. I hope they know we tried our best. And I hope they know that Kiera was important to us.
We'll never get my sister back, you know what I mean? But the guy's sister, she waited. She did not call the ambulance or the police once it happened. You're one of the reasons why my sister's no longer here. You could have took the time as a human being to save a life. My sister could possibly still be here with us.
This dude took her life, and so you have your moments of, damn, like, what could I have done, you know?
She's not gonna be able to see her daughters go to prom. She's not gonna be able to see her daughters graduate. She's not gonna be able to open that hair salon like she wanted to do, and that's just not fair.
We've been trying to make her proud, you know. Her daughter's been trying to, do her best to make her proud. She wants to be just like her mom.
She's leaving behind 2 young girls that may open up that dream hair salon that she's always wanted. She always wanted to be a mother, and she held that down to the T.
Justice was finally served, but it came at a devastating cost. Cleveland Grimes, driven by jealousy, was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life without parole. His sister, Natasha, who delayed the truth when it mattered most, was convicted as an accessory. But no verdict can undo that night. No sentence can bring Kiara back. What remains is loss, unanswered what-ifs, and 2 daughters growing up without their mother. A life stolen in moments of rage, and a truth that came too late.